The wind howled through the dense, snow-covered trees. Snow fell relentlessly, blanketing the ground in a thick white layer. It was Christmas Eve, a night filled with both magic and mystery. The frozen forest was dark and silent, an eerie stillness hanging in the air. The only sound was the occasional creak of branches under the weight of the snow. The trees stood tall and foreboding, their branches heavy with snow. They seemed to whisper secrets to each other, secrets of the forest that had been kept for centuries. Shadows danced in the moonlight, creating an ever-changing tapestry of light and dark. The moon, full and bright, cast an ethereal glow over the landscape, making the snow sparkle like diamonds. It was a night for staying inside, by the warmth of a crackling fire, sipping hot cocoa. But not for everyone. Some were drawn to the forest, to its mysteries and its beauty. 5 friends, bound by a sense of adventure and curiosity, ventured into the frozen forest. They were determined to uncover its secrets, to experience its magic firsthand. They were bundled up in warm clothes, layers upon layers to protect them from the biting cold. Their breath formed clouds in the frigid air as they trudged through the snow. Their laughter echoed through the trees, a stark contrast to the silence that usually enveloped the forest. It was a sound of joy, of camaraderie, of shared adventure. They were excited to explore the mysteries of the frozen forest. Each step they took brought them deeper into the heart of the forest, where the trees grew taller and the shadows darker. They felt a sense of wonder and anticipation, knowing that this night would be one they would never forget. As they ventured further, they discovered a hidden path, one that seemed to beckon them forward. The path led them to an ancient tree, its trunk wide and gnarled, its branches reaching out like welcoming arms. They knew they had found something special, a piece of the forest's history. The friends gathered around the tree, marveling at its size and age. They felt a connection to the forest, to the countless generations that had come before them. It was a moment of reflection, of appreciation for the beauty and mystery of the natural world. They shared stories and memories, their voices mingling with the sounds of the forest. It was a night of discovery, of friendship, and of the magic that can only be found in the frozen forest on Christmas Eve. There was Jake, the leader, Emily, the brains, Max, the jokester, Chloe, the quiet one, and Ben, the scaredy cat. They were best friends. They were always up for a challenge. They had heard stories about the frozen forest, legends of a cursed artifact, a treasure guarded by evil spirits. They didn't believe the stories. They were just that, stories. Jake stopped. The cold wind bit at his cheeks and the snow crunched under his boots. He had been walking for hours, but something made him halt in his tracks. He felt a strange sensation, as if he was being watched. He turned around, scanning the dense forest, but saw nothing but the endless expanse of white and the towering trees. He held up a crumpled piece of paper. It was something he had found buried under the snow, half hidden by a fallen branch. The paper was old, its edges frayed and its surface covered in strange symbols and markings. Jake's heart raced as he realized what he was holding. "Look what I found!" he exclaimed, his voice echoing through the silent forest. His friends, who had been trailing behind, hurried to his side. They gathered around him, their breaths visible in the cold air, and peered at the mysterious map. It was an old map. The paper was yellowed with age, and the ink had faded in places, but the intricate details were still visible. The map depicted a forest, much like the one they were standing in, with paths and landmarks marked clearly. It was faded and torn. The edges were ragged, and there were holes where the paper had worn thin. Despite its condition, the map seemed to hold a certain allure, as if it was calling out to them, urging them to follow its path. But the markings were clear. Paths wound through the forest, leading to various points of interest. There were symbols that none of them recognized, but they felt a sense of excitement and curiosity. What could this map lead to? Treasure? A hidden secret? They had to find out. It was a map of the frozen forest. The name sent a shiver down their spines. They had heard stories about this place, tales of lost travelers and hidden dangers, but the promise of adventure was too strong to resist. "Let's follow it," Max said, his eyes wide with excitement. The others hesitated. The forest was dark, and the stories they had heard made them wary, but the thrill of discovery was too tempting. They exchanged glances, silently agreeing to take the risk. The wind was picking up. It howled through the trees, sending flurries of snow swirling around them. The forest seemed to come alive, the branches creaking and groaning as if whispering secrets. The path ahead was uncertain, but they felt a sense of determination. But Jake was already marching ahead. His resolve was unwavering. He felt a strange connection to the map, as if it was guiding him. He didn't know what lay ahead, but he was ready to face whatever challenges came their way. They had to follow him. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, they trudged through the snow, their footsteps leaving a trail behind them. The adventure had begun, and there was no turning back now. Section 4. Eerie landmarks and rising tension. The map led them deeper into the forest. They passed a frozen creek. They saw animal tracks in the snow. They heard strange noises in the darkness. The tension was building. They arrived at a clearing. A circle of dead trees stood in the center. The air grew cold. They felt a presence. Someone was watching them. Section 5. The Hunters. Two figures emerged from the trees, tall and menacing. They wore heavy furs. They carried rifles. They were hunters. But these were not ordinary hunters. Their eyes glowed with an eerie light. "What are you doing here?" one of the hunters growled. His voice was deep and threatening. The friends were frozen with fear. They had stumbled into something dangerous. They needed to get away. Section 6. The Hidden Cave and the Stone Crypt. They ran. The hunters followed. The chase was on. The forest was a labyrinth of snow-covered trees, each one a potential hiding spot or a deadly obstacle. The cold air bit at their faces, but they couldn't afford to slow down. Every second counted. The hunters were relentless, their footsteps echoing through the forest like a drumbeat of impending doom. They raced through the trees, the hunters close behind. The sound of breaking branches and crunching snow filled the air. Their breaths came out in visible puffs, mingling with the mist that hung low in the forest. The map they clutched was their only hope, a fragile piece of parchment that promised salvation. The map led them to a hidden cave. It was almost invisible, concealed by the thick underbrush and the heavy snowfall. They stumbled upon it just as the hunters were closing in. The entrance was narrow, barely wide enough for a person to squeeze through, but it was their only chance. Inside, a stone crypt lay in the center of the cave. The walls were damp and cold, the air thick with the scent of earth and decay. The crypt was ancient, its surface covered in strange, unreadable symbols. It seemed to pulse with a dark energy, as if it were alive. The air was thick with a sense of dread. Every shadow seemed to move, every sound echoed ominously. It was as if the cave itself were watching them, waiting for something. The sense of foreboding was almost tangible, pressing down on them like a physical weight. "This is it," Jake whispered, his voice trembling. He could barely keep his hands steady as he pointed to the crypt. "This is what the map was leading us to." His words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of their implications. They had come so far, risked so much, and now they were here, standing on the brink of the unknown. This is what the map was leading us to. The group gathered around the crypt, their faces illuminated by the dim light of their torches. The map had been their guide, but now it was up to them to decipher its final secret. They could feel the weight of history pressing down on them, the sense that they were part of something much larger than themselves. They had found the cursed artifact, but at what cost? The artifact lay in the crypt, its surface glinting in the torchlight. It was beautiful and terrifying, a relic of a bygone era. They knew that taking it would change everything, but they also knew that leaving it behind was not an option. The cave seemed to hold its breath, waiting for their decision. The weight of their choice pressed down on them, a reminder that some discoveries come with a price. Section 7. The Pulsating Black Orb. They slowly opened the crypt. Inside, a black orb pulsed with an evil light. It was mesmerizing, terrifying. As soon as they touched it, the orb came alive. It pulsed faster. The cave began to shake. They had unleashed something terrible, something evil. They had to stop it. But how? To be continued.